Don't forget to thumbs up or thumbs down the video, and also to subscribe. Hi folks, Dave with DBS Tech Talk. Today we're going to compare the Hifiman Edition XX and the Hifiman Ananda. Siblings that are similar but different. So the Hifiman Edition XX weighs 14.8 ounces or 420 grams. It has a frequency response of 8 Hz to 50 kilohertz, and it has 20 ohms of impedance and 93 decibels of sensitivity. The Ananda, on the other hand, weighs 14.07 ounces or 399 grams, and it has a frequency response of 8 Hz to 55 kilohertz. It's 25 ohms of sensitivity, or sorry, impedance, and 103 decibels of sensitivity. So the Edition XX tends to be just a little bit harder to drive, not by much, but you will have to bump up the volume just a little bit on that. Build wise is going to be subjective to what you like. Old school headband, you get some swivel action and it extends well. You have the big huge massive cups, plastic grill, plastic grill and cups. Yes, I already said that. You got your sliders here, and overall I just find it to be okay for the price point. Nothing spectacular. It doesn't feel cheap, but it also doesn't say, hey, I'm super luxury. The Ananda, on the other hand, you have the new headband, no swivel, and you are limited on how far it will extend. Sliders do go up a little bit. Same cups, same pads, and the grill and cups are made the same plastic. To me, I find that the Ananda seems to be a little more premium feeling and look, but comfort-wise, I'm okay with either. But if I had to choose, the Ananda actually fits my head a little bit better. Don't have a problem with the Edition XX, but there's just something about the way that it just conforms to my head. Feels more snug, more secure, and more comfortable. And that 20 ounces in weight actually makes a big difference for me. I find that the Edition XX feels just a little more clunky on my head and a little bit more clamp force. So, I mean, they're each comfortable in their own right, but my preference goes to the Ananda. Speaking of fit and comfort, on the pad, when you're having them on your ear, this top part should not touch your ear and the bottom part should not touch your ears, and neither should the sides. Now, hopefully you have an ear that this will fit. It's quite large, so I'm pretty sure it'll be fairly universal, but when you're wearing them, your ear should be directly in the middle. So it should be right on your jawline, the bottom part, and then it should be right above your ear. So your ear should be in the middle. If you have it placed differently, you're going to have sounds that sound off. You're going to have things that are down here that in the mix, but they're going to sound like they're up here, and vice versa, or around. Also, the placement will mess with the bass and the treble a lot on both of them. So make sure that if you do have either one of these, that you find that perfect spot for fit. That makes a huge difference in how they sound. I'm not going to cover the cable. They have identical cables, and I've ranted about it on both videos reviews, which there'll be links down below. Only difference is the Ananda does come with a longer cable that defaults into a 1/4 inch. If I had to choose between either cable, I would say the Ananda one's a little bit better, but whatever. Anyways, so I was going to talk about cables. So fit and finish and just overall comfort, I would give it to the Ananda, but your preference may change if you have both of these. Either or both are good. I just prefer the Ananda. How do they sound? The Edition XX is warm, laid back, and has decent sized soundstage with big placement but not super accurate. The Ananda, on the other hand, is very close to neutral and very natural sounding. Has a similar soundstage that is just a little bit larger than the Edition XX, but it is a lot more precise and a lot more detailed. Bass. The winner in bass as far as the fun factor goes to the Edition XX. The winner for overall bass clarity, details, transparency, resolution goes to the Ananda. The Edition XX has a very much fun bass. It's big, and it is full, and it is prominent. You get lots and lots of details in it, but they're not always the cleanest. It will get muddled up on busier tracks, and it has a warmer tilt to it, which just is very engaging and fun. The Ananda, on the other hand, is a very linear bass with a slight, and I emphasize a slight, hump in the mid bass and upper bass, which gives it just enough of like a kiss of body and warmth. Details are better resolved and better retrieved than on the Edition XX. They are very well declared, I guess you could say, or presented. You will know exactly what each instrument is and how it is portraying in the mix, whereas on the Edition XX you will have moments of things kind of lumping together, and you will think that a sound is one instrument when it actually ends up being 3 or 4, and you can clarify that with the Ananda. The mids. The mids on the Edition XX could take the cake depending on what your preference is. If you like a more full, laid back, more just romantic and lush sounding mid, then the Edition XX may be for you. It has just a kiss of relaxation and just a musicality to it, but it does have somewhat of a graininess to it. It can be a little strident, and especially in the upper mid region, there is tendencies to get a little bit on the shouty side on some tracks. Whereas the Edition XX, I'm sorry, we just talked about the Edition XX, Dave. So the Ananda has a little bit leaner sound in the mids, but it is more natural, and the timbre is more accurate than it is on the Edition XX. And also, you do not have that stridency. It is more smooth and more airy. You have more life to it. It doesn't have that more lushness to it. It's just more natural and more accurate sounding in the mids. And as you get into the upper mids and into the lower treble, these are more smooth and more resolving. You do not have that graininess or that shoutiness that can happen. The treble regions of the Edition XX and of the Ananda. The winner is the Ananda, but the Edition XX does treble in a very unique way. When you're in the lower treble, it'll kind of peak up a little bit, and then it extends out. About 10K is where it kind of just extends and goes off into the distance, but it's not as super, excuse me, it's not as present, and it doesn't have as much air. I at times wish that it had more energy and a little bit more just flowiness to it. You just kind of wish for more every now and then on the treble. But in the lower region and going 8K, 10K, there's a peak and a drop that makes the Edition XX sometimes sound a little harsh, where you get into the upper mid and then treble. On some songs it just presents it, and it's just a little bit too much stridency and a little too shouty in that area. But for the most part, they're very laid back, especially beyond 10K. It's a very laid back, mellow, I'm gonna chill out type of treble. whereas the Ananda extends extremely well, and you have very good air resolution and detail farther out you go. It is not laid back like the Edition XX. The Ananda has a lot more energy, a lot more details, and it just sounds more natural and alive. The Region 8K, 10K does have a little bit of a dip, and I find that that removes that area of a little bit of shoutiness, a little bit of oof every now and then on the Edition XX. You do not get that on here. Now, it is a brighter tone, it is a little bit leaner than the Edition XX, but I just find it sounds more natural and true on the Ananda. Overall detail retrieval on both are adequate, but the Ananda is a lot better at it. It's a lot faster, and it picks up macro and micro details a whole lot better, whereas the Edition XX will kind of smooth them in with the sound, and especially in the treble region you will be kind of wishing you could hear them a little bit more without having to turn up the volumes. Soundstage. Soundstage is fairly wide on both. It's not as wide as you would think considering the size of the drivers and of the cups, but it is wide enough that you don't feel cramped or crammed in. It doesn't feel compact. The Ananda does a better job of transparency and placement, but the Edition XX does a nice way of having a stage in front of you, and things travel across, but it's more like it's just a flat page, whereas on the Ananda it is a little bit more immersive. You have better depth and layering, and the presentation of it is more transparent, as I said, and a little bit more precise. The Edition XX does struggle with preciseness on placement. It'll be more I'm over here or I'm over here, whereas on the Ananda it is pinpoint I'm here. And that depth and layering comes into play. You can tell when things are behind or next to something, up and above and down below. You get the up and down of the Edition XX, but you don't get the I'm behind, I'm around, traveling in circles, whizzing around your head like you do on the Ananda. They both play extremely well on desktop amplifiers and desktop setups. I find that they benefit a little bit from a little bit of juice. They play okay on portable amplifiers and portable dongles and DAPs and phones. Even though they're both touted as being easy to drive, I don't really find them to be extremely easy to drive. Now, it's doable on portable for both, but I find that the Ananda plays a little bit better on portable, but not by much over the Edition XX, and they both are more beneficial on a desktop setup. I find that the Ananda plays better with pretty much any amplifier that I throw at it, whereas the Edition XX, if it's a warmer sounding amplifier or DAC, they get a little muddled and you lose a lot of clarity. So I prefer them on somewhat of a brighter signature, whereas the Ananda benefits from both. You can hear the differences a lot better, and you don't lose the clarity and the details as much. Do I recommend both? Absolutely. If you like a laid-back, warm tone with decent detail retrieval and a fun factor, something that you can just kind of chill out and mellow, then the Edition XX. If you want something that is more neutral and natural sounding with really good transparency, resolution, detail retrieval, and clarity throughout, and a very good soundstage with depth and layering, then I would recommend the Ananda. Which one do I prefer? Well, that's easy for me, and that is the Ananda. I find that the Ananda is the better all-around headphone. I can use it both to chill and relax, and I can also use it to do critical listening. The Ananda is my choice of headphone. and currently the Ananda is my favorite headphone. The Edition XX is good, and I'll use it when I want to mellow out, but the Ananda is the clear winner for me. Your preferences may be different, and you may think differently between these two, and I totally understand that and respect that. We all hear differently, and we all have different gear for the most part. So hopefully this comparison will help you to decide between the two if you are considering purchasing them, or if you have one and you're thinking about upgrading or downgrading, or however you want to look at it. The Hifiman Edition XX and the Hifiman Ananda both get recommendations from me. I love both of them. This has been Dave with DBS Tech Talk. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you enjoyed or disliked this video, and also don't forget to subscribe. There is a subscription link and a notification bell floating around somewhere here on the screen. And also check out the links down below for links to the products compared today, and also links to playlists that were used in the reviews and in the comparison, and also for PayPal, Patreon, and all kinds of other good stuff if you want to check that out. See down below. Thanks.